Can we get some of the officers to talk to the kids outside, tell them to keep it down? Yeah. This is. Okay, we are going to start. If you can take your seat. I know we're going to have a pretty festive beginning of the meeting, so we're going to move as quickly as we can. The way we start the meeting is we ask you to stand and join us in a salute to the flag, so I'll ask if you would do that. And I'm going to ask the Troop 5 if you will lead us when I give you the cue. But before we do that, after we do the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would remain standing for a moment of silence for Leon Walewski, who's a retired employee of the Maplewood Recreation Department. So we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, being led by Troop 5, and then we will have a moment of silence for Leon, who worked for the Recreation Department. Troop 5, would you please lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for Leon. Thank you. Please be seated. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws, 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2018 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2017, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Mr. Adams? Here. Mr. Daffis?
Here.
Mr. Limbrick?
Here. Good night, CC.
Mr. McGehee?
Here.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7 provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas desire this governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee. Township Maplewood does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussions of the governing body at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Limbrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 17th, 2018 meeting of the Maplewood Township Committee. We're really happy to see all you here. We promise that we will move as fast as you can so that you can leave and go have your party and do everything else that you'll be doing. So first off tonight, we're going to have the administration of oath to our Chief of Police, Jimmy Duvall. After that, we'll have a proclamation for Arbor Day 2018 that will be read by Mr. Lembrick. We'll have, I'm sorry, Mr. McGee, he's going to be doing that one. Mr. Lembrick is going to be doing the Autism Awareness Month. After that, we will have special presentation of our boys and girls basketball teams. which will be exciting. And then we will have the signing of the Memorial Park Conservancy, the Maplewood Memorial Park Conservancy. That's a new initiative, and we will sign the agreement, and we'll have a formal signing here. After that, and I'm sure you're all here for this, we're going to have a hearing on the 2018 municipal budget. Yeah, I doubt it. We will go over the aspects of the budget, see if anyone wants to make any comments. We will be passing some resolutions related to that. At that point, we will then move into our first public comment session. If anyone would like to address the Township Committee on an agenda matter, that would be, we'd ask you to come up and give us your name and address and speak to us then. We have a couple of ordinances three ordinances on final. One is a zoning and development ordinance that has to do with senior citizens and boarders in their homes, and we will be tabling that to a future meeting. The second is creation of the Maplewood Community Board on Police. The third is that we will be approving our capital ordinance, and we'll be talking about that, the things we're going to buy and the roads we're going to fix. We will be amending an ordinance on our sustainability committee. We'll create a fund for the donation of monies for trees from Maplewood Memorial Park. And we'll also pass an ordinance, or introduce an ordinance rather, setting forth the compensation and classification of employment positions. We have 4 discussion items, developer performance guarantees, and then the second one is property owner home maintenance responsibilities, dealing with driveway aprons. Third is the shared service agreement with South Orange for tax collector services. Fourth will be 104 Baker Street. We'll be talking about our plans to do public parking there, and also a proposal to deal with an area in need of rehabilitation. Our consent agenda has 11 items. I believe we want to pull off item number 2 and vote on that separately. That has to do with the gun amnesty program. So the other 10 items we'll approve at once. This has to do with applying for a grant, awarding contracts, approving bills and claims, and also the minutes of previous meetings. We'll then have another public comment session. We'll have reports from departments, reports from elected officials, and hopefully within a couple of hours, we will adjourn the meeting. So without further ado, we're going to ask our clerk to come on up and begin the oath of office for our new chief of police, Jimmy Duvall. Yes, Chief, you might want to say why you're in the former Eagle Scout in Troop 5, is that correct?
Always an Eagle Scout.
Always an Eagle Scout.
And when I put my hand up, I actually made the scout sign. It works.
This is just coaching. So.
I
I, Jim Duvall,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will
that I will
support the Constitution
support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear
and I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the governments established
to the government established
in this state
in this state,
and the United
in
States,
the United States,
and under the authority of the people,
and under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Chief
Chief
of the Maplewood Police Department
of the Maplewood Police Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
I'll make it.
Congratulations.
I just have a few words, and just to start with, between the township clerk and I, we decided we had to bet who was going to cry first.
I think it's you.
Yep. So, first I want to thank my family, because if it wasn't for them, I would not be here right now. Next, I want to thank the Township Committee for seeing my passion and vision moving forward. Liz Pritchett, what do I say about you? Retired Sergeant Mike Morrison, is he in the house someplace? He is my guidance and my mentor throughout this whole process, so I want to thank him. I have so many friends here, I don't even want to begin just naming them, but I have so much support in this room, and I appreciate it very much. To Soma Action and Soma Justice, I want you to know that I've been listening to you, and I look forward to working together with you as we move forward. I want to thank the members of our Clergy Alliance. Our Clergy Alliance has been instrumental in our chaplains program, which is an initiative that we came up with to get the Clergy Alliance and the clergy involved more directly with our officers. So I appreciate that. Reverend Brenda Ehlers, not sure if she's here or not, but I want to thank her because it was her passion and my idea to create a juvenile restorative justice initiative. We're going to change the way juvenile justice is done in this town, and hopefully we can make it a model for the state. I want to thank Walter Fields of the Black Parents Workshop and TJ Whitaker of Mapso Freedom School. I've met them several times and made commitments to them to make changes within our department, and I appreciate working with them. Kevin Kish, I'm not sure he's here. Is he here anywhere? Well, anyway, I want to tell him that I wish I had half of his charm, and I'm hoping that working with him, he's going to help me be the best chief that I could be. I'm humbled to be standing here right now. I do not take it for granted at all. The officers who I work with know how passionate I am, and I look forward to moving forward with them. I've been very upfront with my officers about the changes that I plan. And it's understanding because we haven't had change in 17 years. So that doesn't come easy, but we're going to do it together. I've made a commitment to restore the faith and trust in our police department. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by putting the members of our community first. Thank you.
want to thank Chief Kroll from South Orange for joining us tonight. Thank you. Okay. So I happen to know that you're all not here to hear the Arbor Day resolution. So if anybody wanted to leave, we'll take a couple minutes in case you wanted to leave and maybe go have a party or something.
Can we try to, everybody leave the meeting and go over to the...
Dave, don't make any noise with the weather.
Okay, we're going to get started again. We're going to get started, and we're going to have the proclamation for Arbor Day, and I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Frank McGehee. He's joined by the members of the Maplewood Memorial Park Conservancy, and you'll read that proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lowering our heating and cooling costs, monitoring our temperature, cleaning the air, and producing oxygen, and providing a habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our township increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of our business areas, and the beautification of our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, the Township Committee of Maplewood and Mayor Vic DeLuca do hereby proclaim April 27th. April 27th? April 27th?
Yes.
That's Arbor Day.
Yes.
That's Arbor.
Okay, April 27th as Arbor Day in the Township of Maplewood. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees, to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Autism Awareness Month, and Mr. Lembrick. Don't know if we have anyone representing the,
I was just looking for, but.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is my pleasure and my honor tonight to present the proclamation for Autism Awareness Month 2018. Whereas autism spectrum disorder is now diagnosed in 1 in every 68 births and almost 1 in every 54 boys, making it the fastest growing developmental disability in the United States. And whereas more than 3.5 million Americans live with autism spectrum disorder, and whereas 1 in 49 children in New Jersey are on the autism spectrum, and whereas autism is treatable with studies showing that early diagnosis and intervention can lead to significantly improved outcomes, and whereas we hope that this time period and any commemorations associated with it will promote increased efforts of awareness, understanding, acceptance, and education of parents, professionals, and the general public about autism and its effects. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Maplewood and Victor DeLuca, Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, that we 2018 as Autism Awareness Month in the Township of Maplewood, and urge all residents to participate in autism awareness activities in order to become better educated on the subject of autism spectrum disorders.
Thank you very much. I think we're running out of time, so we won't be able to do the basketball trophies. Now, I'm going to ask the Township Committee to come on down to the mic, and start that process. What we will do as a Township Committee, we'll line up here. I'm going to ask Coach Eddie and Coach Lenny to come on up. They'll read the students, the players' names, and then they can come up, and they can shake hands with us, and then we'll just stay up here, we'll do a big picture, okay? So right here. Got your name?
All right, before I do that, I just want to say thank you to the administration and the Township Committee for having us here tonight. I know Missy's not here, but she's very supportive of what we do. Aside from the teams you're going to hear come up in a few minutes, I just want to say we have 8 teams in our program. Every team is a playoff team. We have, between boys and girls, 93 kids who play, and they work hard from pretty much September to about now. So those other teams aren't here. Unfortunately, they didn't win, but they're just as hardworking. Before I call the teams up, I'm going to call up our girls' coaches because they have 2 of the championship teams. So the first team I'll call up is the team that Coach Lenny and myself coached this year. It's the 4th grade boys. Okay, so we finished 11-5. They won the Hoop Heaven Winter League Championship, 3rd and 4th grade boys, and they had a great run competing against what's called club teams and AAU-like teams. So, Zachary Alexander. Alex Nancy, Nate Chu, Sean Hayes, Will Iozio, Will Costco, Ryan Lubensberger, Logan Sackett, and Mason Walpole. We have one player who's not here. His name is Dyson Smith.
Come on over here, guys. Stand in front of the trophy, okay? And spread out, guys. Somebody's got to go play forward, right forward. And need a right guard over there. All right. That's good. There we go. All right. Everybody's got pictures? All right. Great job.
All right, so I'm going to bring the girls up. This is coaches Aaron and Naja. They coach all three of our girls' teams. The first team we'll bring up is the sixth grade girls. They won their second straight league championship and had their second straight undefeated season. So they are on the verge of being quite a dynasty. Evie Campbell, she's not here. Okay. Kyla Coley. Sky Gilliam. Jamie Levy. Let's bring it up. Summer Loning. Stella Marble. Sam Stein, she's not here. Madison Stevens. Lily Westhill. And Mackenzie Williamson, but she's not here.
Let's get on here. Oh, you want to go there? Here we go. Let's bring the new camera. Smile. All right, how we doing? All right. Okay, thank you. Let's give them a round. We have a question. Do we have a school on Arbor Day? Yes. Good question, though. That was excellent. We'll work on it for the next time.
All right, the final team is our seventh grade girls. They won their league championship. They finished with a record of 13-1 as well. So that team is Zara Alexander. Zara. Ruby Aliwad. Rian Bali is not here. Sierra Savalos. Leah Connell. Shauna Desir. Jamie Farden is not here. Bella Galat. Georgie Gasaro. Allie Harris. Sanaya Johnson. Olivia Sassfi is not here. Avery Torito. And Eleanor Van der Voos.
Yeah, you might want to, some in the, come down.
There we go. All right, smile. Okay, everybody? You got water? Listen, you okay? You all want to listen? All right, thank you.
Okay, we're now going to move on to the item number 9 with the Maplewood Memorial Park Conservancy, and that's signing the partnership agreement. So I'm going to ask the members of the Conservancy to come on up here. I know, how's that? Listen, it's all about stadium. So we were approached by a group of citizens that said that they would like to focus on the improvement of Maplewood Memorial Park, and they would like to create a conservancy focused on that effort. And they went around and spoke to conservancies in other towns, and we've been working with them. They met with Township Committeewoman Adams and I, and we crafted this agreement, which we're going to sign tonight. And I'm going to ask Deborah Lyons, who is the chair of the Conservancy, congratulations, to say a few words, and then we'll sign the agreement. Yes, we can have someone. Sonia, can you take a picture?
So I feel like I should have brought some park groupies with me. Some fans. But anyway, I want to thank you all for your enthusiastic embrace for our fledgling conservancy. And before I start, I want to introduce, this is Gary Nelson, who's our vice chair, and David Nile, who's our treasurer and who is also our tree guru. So I want to thank you all. I see Ian Grodman here, so I want to thank him too, because he was sitting in for Marlon when we got our first okay. and you voted us. But I especially want to thank Nancy Adams and Vic DeLuca, who've been steady advocates for our efforts. They provided guidance and support throughout our formation, and gave us so much invaluable advice and helped us craft this partnership agreement that we're about to sign. Not really. So we've had a big year at the Conservancy, and I know I don't want to take your time to tell you what we've done, but we had our annual meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we went over our 2017 accomplishments and our 2018 goals. And if I become smarter, or if I find a small child to help me, I'm going to put it up on our website, so I'll give you that information. But we did become a 501c3. We elected officers, and we formulated a board. We enrolled 40 members to the Conservancy. We raised over $3,000 through membership and donations, with some very generous donations from the Maplewood Garden Club. So anyway, this is a watershed moment for us in signing this partnership agreement to work with the town. But I did want to point out that we've already had a successful year working with you. When I want to just make sure I don't forget anything. But we started off restoring the 8 Elms World War I Memorial. We worked on to expand the Rutgers Summer Internship Program in the park. We developed a tree replacement program, and that's really the efforts of David Nile. And finally, we shepherded our Flagpole Hill re-landscaping project through the approvals and funding process. So that's exciting, big news for us, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with you when we break ground on that project next year. We're also going to launch the Memorial Tree Program, which you'll, I assume, pass tonight, which will ensure the replacement and also the maintenance of the tree canopy in the park. And we have a lot of other initiatives, including working with the rec department on some public programming. So anyway, we thank you for acknowledging the importance of our beautiful and historic park, and we look forward to joining you to ensure its legacy. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We can send you copies.
Brought my own pen.
You did. Yes, I told your husband that'd be great. Great. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Congrats. Thank you. Certainly.
So just real quick, I just want to thank the newly formed Memorial Park Conservancy for all their hard work. Most people have no idea what's gone into it, and given the storm in the beginning of April with so many trees in the park that have have to be taken down or had damage, it's more and more important. And the flagpole project that Deborah was mentioning in her remarks is right along Donnell Road by the flagpole, obviously, but it's a large section that will be re-landscaped and irrigated. And Deborah was sort of underwhelmingly talking about what being a little modest on all the work that they have put into not only forming this 501c3 and the hours and hours of work. So I just want to say it does not go unnoticed, and Park has gone through some rough times over the last 10 or 15 years, and we're working with them, and I just appreciate the time and the focus on the trees and the plantings and restoring it for future generations mostly to enjoy. So thank you again. I just want to thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we're going to deal with the budget. And we have Resolution 8618.
Let's read this first, Mayor.
Go ahead. I think you start first, right? It says clerk.
Mayor, this is a time fixed for the public hearing on the 2018 municipal budget. The budget was approved by the governing body on March 20th, 2018, was advertised as required by law on March 29th, 2018, together with notice of hearing for this time. Printed copies have been made available to the public during the past week, and supply is here for anyone desiring the same.
And if you haven't had a chance to get it, we have this booklet up here if you'd like to pick it up at the clerk's office. Clerk's desk, rather, right here.
We have them here too.
Okay.
So, Mayor,
Yes,
now I have a resolution regarding the reading of the budget by title only.
we need a
I
motion.
offer the foregoing resolution and move its adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll on it.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, the resolution is adopted. Before opening the hearing, I wish to outline the procedure. Each person, come on up, give your name and your address. If you have any questions, please address them to the chair. We have our auditor here who will help us. We have our administrator here if you have a question about any item in the budget. The questions are only about the budget at this stage and only about the municipal portion. We can't deal with the school or the county. So if anyone would like to speak on the budget hearing is now open. Okay, seeing no one, we will close we'll take a motion to close the budget hearing. Can I get a motion?
Mayor, I move the adoption of this budget be postponed pending further review by the Township Committee.
No, first we want to close the hearing. First we want to close the hearing.
I move we close the hearing.
I second it.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Now we can, I understand, and Mr. Falcone, maybe you should talk. We have some changes that are going into the budget.
The budget that we have presented here has provisions for the pay down of notes. We recently, I think, contracted with a financial advisor. We're discussing the options with the financial advisor as to whether we should roll over the notes or have a permanent bond sale. So that's going to take some review. We also spoke to the administrator, Mr. Manning, last week. We gave him a list of all the projects that are outstanding and in process. The engineer got back to him, I think, today and said that we can cancel several projects. That means that we don't have to bond those projects. So we will reduce the amount of the bond sale. So I have a call in for the bond counsel at McMiniman. I told him I was meeting with the council this evening. Told him I would call him tomorrow, and then we're going to set up a conference call of meetings to discuss the options of whether we're going to have a note sale or a bond sale. Okay, if we do, it might require an amendment to the budget depending on which way we go, but the bottom line should not change whatsoever, because if we don't have we don't have to use the money that's in the budget for the pay down of notes, we can use that money to transfer for some tweaks that Joe has and some other tweaks that we might need for the interest on the notes.
Okay.
That's where we're at.
So at this point, we would need a motion to
Postpone adoption.
postpone adoption. That's the, Ms. Adams?
Go for it.
I move the adoption of this budget be postponed pending further review by the Township Committee.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that is our budget. We will be amending it, and we will then have people have an opportunity to speak on it again before we adopt it. Okay, next up, we're going to have our public comment. If you're here to speak about an ordinance on final passage, we'll have a hearing specifically for that ordinance, so you don't need to come up at this time. But if there's anything that anyone would like to come up and speak to us about, now would be the time on public comment. Good night, thank you.
Good night, thank you.
Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public comment. And we're going to move into final ordinances, so we need you back here, Mr. Desiderio. You were getting a little too comfortable over there.
He's on vacation.
You did, yes. You're tired, I understand.
That's why we
Item
do the
15,
big bucks.
Mayor?
Item 15 was tabled, right?
No, not yet, not yet.
We will table it.
Ordinance on final passage, ordinance number 2898-18. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 271 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Zoning and Development Regulations. This ordinance will allow senior citizens in owner-occupied residential dwellings to have up to 2 boarders reside in their premises.
Mr. Desiderio, we received correspondence from the planning board.
I did. I received a memorandum dated April 11th. Please be advised that the planning board did not review the above referenced ordinance at their meeting last night due to time constraints. It will be considered at the May 8th meeting. Any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. As such, we recommend that this ordinance be tabled until the May 15th meeting.
Mr. Daffis,
I move that. I have no objections.
you move the tabling of that till May 15th?
Yes, please.
I'll second that.
And just, we don't need to, do we need to advertise that? No.
We do.
We do. Okay, so we'll advertise it again, hold a public hearing at that time.
That is correct.
Just in case anyone, let me ask if, because I don't want to disenfranchise anyone who might have wanted to speak on it. Is there anyone who want to speak on it tonight on this ordinance? Okay, you'll have another opportunity on the 15th of May. We have a motion to table, moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Lambrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Item number 16.
Mr. Mayor, also on final, ordinance number 2901, an ordinance to create the Maplewood Community Board on Police. This ordinance will create a committee to review designated police activity in the Township of Maplewood and to make recommendations to the Township Committee on improving the relationship between the Maplewood community and the Maplewood Police Department.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance creating the Maplewood Community Board on Police? Seeing no one, let's see who's moving this. Mr. Lemberg?
Mr. Mayor, I move this ordinance be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
Second. Mr. Lemberg, would you like to say anything before we move forward?
I think I've spoken on this a number of times before, so I don't want to repeat myself, but I do want to thank the community organizations that were so influential and worked so hard with this. Some of them are representatives here tonight, but the Community Coalition on Race, Soma Action, and Soma Justice, lots of meetings, lots of phone calls, and lots of time on their own doing research and drafting to help us get this to where it is today. And I look forward to this passing in the next couple of minutes so we can start appointing members to this community board and start the good work that I know that it will do. And I am hopeful that all of us will support this, not just tonight, but going forward, because while this is the end of the process of creating this ordinance, tonight is when we start beginning the real work that's going to go into involving the community in helping our police department to better represent us, to better relate to the community, and to be open to community feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Enthusiastic, yes.
Mr. Lambrecht,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, congratulations, everyone. We have another ordinance on final passage, item 17.
Yes, Mayor, ordinance number 2902-18, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements of the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating the aggregate amount of $4,490,973 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,373,776 in bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance, which is our bond ordinance for 2018? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. And I will move this ordinance be adopted as a whole, and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
Second.
Just so we're, a couple of highlights. We have put $1 million into our municipal road improvement program. We know that the roads need some work, so we've done that. We'll be also put $600,000 from a state grant into repaving the entire stretch of Boyden Avenue from Irvington Avenue to the Irvington line. We'll be buying some vehicles, equipment. We'll be doing a radio equipment for our fire department to make sure that they are safe. We'll be purchasing a new jitney. So this is I guess a wide sweeping ordinance meeting our needs that we have going forward. And we worked hard at meeting with department heads and coming up with a priority list. So we'll be moving forward with this tonight. We've had a motion and a second, so please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you. Items 18.
On introduction, ordinance number 2903-18 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 62 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Sustainability Committee. This ordinance will change the name of the Sustainability Committee to Sustainable Maplewood and will make certain changes to its membership.
Mr. McGee?
Yes. I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on May 1st.
I'll second that. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams? Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you. Item 19.
Yes, Mayor, item 19, ordinance number 2904-18, an ordinance to create a fund for the donation of monies for the purchase of trees for Maplewood Memorial Park. This ordinance will permit donations to be made to the Maplewood Memorial Park Conservancy for the purchase and installation of trees at Maplewood Memorial Park.
I move the passage of this ordinance on the first reading, its publication according to law, the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on May 1st.
Second.
Any comments? Ms. Adams, I know you presented this at our last meeting. Did you want to make any comments about this?
No, other than I spoke about the Conservancy, and this is part of their mission to allow people to donate trees to Memorial Park in memory of other of loved ones, or so we just want to keep this going and help the Conservancy do what they need to do, and this is just one of many things.
Great, thank you. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you. And we have item number 20, another new ordinance.
Ordinance number 2905-18, Mayor. Amendment to ordinance 2862-17, authorizing classification of employment positions within the Township of Maplewood and to establish salary ranges for employees.
I move this ordinance move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on May 1st, 2018.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. 4 discussion items. The first one is Mr. Daffis, Developers Performance Guarantees.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We're moving quite along tonight, aren't we? So one of the 109 bills that former Governor Christie signed before he left office is S 3233, which is an amendment to the municipal land use law, and which bizarrely eliminates previously mandated by state law performance guarantees and maintenance guidelines as they relate to development and public improvements, and effectively requires every municipality in the state in an ad hoc basis, one town after the other, to recode these by ordinance. This came to our attention through our township attorney, Mr. Desiderio, who is with us. I invite him to join our discussion on this. I know that he has tried to contact some legislators to figure out why this was done. The idea here is probably that it's going to be repealed, and we're going to at some point go back to where we were. But in the meantime, it's obvious that unless we want developers to walk out and not have any performance guarantees in contracts and development in town, that we need to recode such guarantees. Mr. Desiderio, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of the performance guarantees are to guarantee that people who are making municipal improvements, whether it be streets, sidewalks, curbs, or it could be traffic signals, are coming up with performance bonds and maintenance bonds to guarantee that the work is completed. It's usually part of the approvals that come out of a planning board after a site plan review that certain work, off-site works have to be corrected. It's been the law for as long as I can remember. And it was never necessary for municipality to do anything because the municipal land use law, the state statute, covered it. For reasons, as Mr. Daffis said, that only greater minds than mine can come up with, and while we can blame the governor for signing it, it took legislators to approve it before it went to the governor. They passed a law that effectively changed municipal land use law, but gave each municipality the right to put performance guarantees in, subject to certain qualifications. In consultation with the engineering department and with the code committee, it's been the recommendation that the township should consider an ordinance to put this back. If they don't, then performance guarantees will not be required.
Do you have any idea why the legislature, was it like buried in another municipal land?
I know not. I mean, it might be.
It doesn't make any
sense. It might be something to ask our legislators. I mean, there may be some thought that it's pro-business, that it's pro-developer. I mean, that's the best that I can try to do, to come up with some rationale for it.
Right.
But again, we're talking about the cost of a bond.
Right.
All right, to guarantee performance of which municipality pays, but that would be my best guess.
Right, and if the job is done correctly and it's done well,
And the
it
bond gets
doesn't
released.
cost them virtually anything.
Right.
Exactly.
I looked for legislative history, didn't find any, so
Right.
there isn't really anything.
That's
out
my
there.
guess.
I think it was part of the package in the last week, and it was probably from the builders.
Right. They
Right.
still understood it. That would be my guess.
So we just want to stay ahead and make sure we can cover these costs, cover these performance, make sure they're done properly. So Mr. Daffis, should we authorize Mr. Desiderio to prepare an ordinance?
I recommend us doing so, and I authorize Mr. Desiderio to do so.
Everybody's okay with that?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, how about the driveway aprons?
The driveway aprons, right. So our current code, as it relates to residential maintenance obligations, specifically refers to sidewalks, curbs, and gutters, but it does not address driveway aprons, which are part of the sidewalk and which are an obligation that residents need to maintain their driveway aprons. It came to our attention in code again and recommended by our township engineer that we should make that explicit in our code to alleviate any confusion as a preventative measure, and I recommend that we do so.
Any questions about it? No. We're going to authorize Mr. Desiderio to do that also?
Yes,
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
thank you.
Yeah, there's one other language change that was discussed at that meeting, and just so it's there. So right now, it says, the ordinance says, all new sidewalks within the township right-of-way constructed by the abutting owner shall be of Portland cement, concrete in accordance with township standards. So we're going to change that to all new sidewalks and driveway aprons. The other conversation that was brought up actually by Ms. Adams, was that we would also give the engineer some leeway. So we would also put in, or as determined by the township engineer, because there may be situations where people still have slate sidewalks, and rather than have them mix and match that, the engineer would have discretion to allow them to replace in kind what is there. So that was the suggestion that came out of the committee.
That seems logical.
Okay?
Good, thank you. So you're going to work on that and put it on for the next meeting. Item number 3 is shared service agreement with South Orange for tax collector services. As you know, we have our CFO / tax collector has taken another position, has left us, and we need someone right away with that tax collection certification. We have been in conversations with South Orange about creating a shared service. We've come to an agreement. They will assign their tax collector who's experienced and runs a very efficient organization there to spend up to 2 days per week here at the start of the agreement, and then taper down to 1 day a week. When she's not physically here in Maplewood, she will monitor the tax operation from her office in South Orange. Maplewood will pay a sum of $5,000 a month for this service. And we'll also pay some additional dollars to South Orange for the coverage of their office when that person is here. What we'd like to do tonight is get a motion to approve this shared service agreement of up to $5,000 a month, up to 8.5 months for 2018, a balance of 2018. And authorize our administrator and township attorney to negotiate the wording of the shared service agreement with South Orange. Additionally, that shared service agreement will recognize that Maplewood has a responsibility to pay for any technology that might be needed, software, cameras, for example, that we might want, so that South Orange could do the oversight from the South Orange tax office. And that any of those costs would be negotiated mutually between South Orange and Maplewood.
I'll move it, Mr. Mayor. I move that we initiate a shared services agreement with South Orange for tax collector services at a cap rate of $5,000 a month for 8.5 months for 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lindberg?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. The last item is 104 Baker Street, and there's 2 parts to that. We have entered into a lease with the developers of that site to create some public parking there. We have some good news. We're stymied right now because we don't have lighting for that lot. But we were able to talk to PSE&G. We got a very favorable cost per month of under $50 to install a light there, a floodlight that will shine on the lot. So once we get that installed, our DPW, now that the weather is a little bit better, our DPW will go in, clean up the lot, and stripe it. So it will be able, we think we'll get at least 10 spots. We might even be able to squeeze a couple others. The second part of that is in our discussions with the proposed developers. We were informed, and we know from some of the information that has been provided, that that site was significantly compromised by contamination. I believe it's over a dozen underground storage tanks that either exist or have been pulled from that site. They have a proposal. They would like us to consider that being an area in need of rehabilitation. The process for us to do that is to hire a planner to study that. And what I would like to suggest to the Township Committee is that we authorize our business administrator to seek proposals so that he can present it to us at the next meeting from planning agencies that we use to do that study.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
So we just need a motion to authorize Mr. Manning to seek proposals for that.
I'll move that.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Mr. McGee, can we get a motion from you on the consent agenda, pulling out item number 2, which we'll vote on separately?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that we take out item number 2, resolution number 83-18 out of the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yes.
Should we also just move the consent agenda?
Yes, he did that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did, it was, I heard him.
Okay.
So we have a motion.
Sure either, actually.
Yes, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with item number 2 taken out. Please call the roll. Motion and second, made and
Ms.
second.
Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. I think we're going too fast. People are leaving. Okay. Mr. McGee, can we get a motion on item number 2?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move item number 2, resolution number 83-18. This is a resolution to, in support of working with Essex County Prosecutor and Essex County Sheriff to implement a gun amnesty program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. McGee, do you want to talk about this a bit?
I sure would like to. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recently, we had the opportunity to join the youth of our community in Newark, New Jersey, where they discussed their desire to see their local elected officials here at the municipal level and all levels, frankly, to do and take action and to do something about the gun laws in our community and throughout our country. Recently, there have been 6 bills passed at the state level to help mitigate some of the issues that regarding gun laws and guns in our community. This resolution here is supporting the concept of taking guns out of our community so that we can lessen the amount of inventory of guns on our streets and in our community. So where we're going to look to move forward with keeping guns from being purchased in the future, this is also to mitigate guns being in our community. So this is just the first step in many initiatives that I plan to lead with my fellow colleagues to help mitigate guns in our community. And we'll start here at the municipal level, and we'll start to put the pressure on the state level, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Please call the roll. It's been moved and seconded.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you very much. Public comment. Anyone want to address the Township Committee? Seeing no one, will close the second public comment period. We have reports from departments. Mr. Manning?
Just that I'm aware that people are anxious for the farmers market to be starting up on the first Monday in June. So just hang in there a little while longer, and your dreams will come true. And other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
Well, thank you very much. Do they have farmer markets in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. I think it's one big farmer's market.
Yeah, it's a one big farm.
Is that, because if you ever need a letter of reference,
Yes.
we could give that to you. Collectively, I think we would all like to sign something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm
Mr.
I'm sure the Amish would need your help with that.
Yes.
Desiderio.
Yeah.
After Mr. Manning's retirement, he's coming back to be a part of the farmer's market.
Yeah, right.
Each day it's there.
On-site
He's-
management.
He's assumed the pickle concession. I have nothing to report.
Anything for Mr. Desiderio? I have one thing. Mr. Desiderio, earlier this year, as you know, the Township Committee passed the welcoming resolution, and one of the things we have to do, and we'll do that by the end of the year, is anytime that, I'm sorry, last year we passed the welcoming resolution, and what we have to do is report if there are any instances where we're not able to get a grant because of that resolution. And somewhere in last year, there was a application we were going to submit, but there was a certification that called for us to sign that we would meet these obligations. And we weren't able to certify that, so we never submitted the grant. Not sure we would have gotten the grant or not, but in any event, last week, a U.S. District Judge in California ruled that the federal government cannot stop municipalities based on this from getting grants. So I just have the article here. If you could take a look at that ruling, just in case this issue comes up again. I'm sure someone's going to appeal it, but the judge made it a ruling that was nationwide. So it's beyond just that district.
That seems to be the modus operandi of that district.
Yes, well, thank goodness there's at least one district doing that, so.
The 12th.
Which, it's not the appeal, it's not the appellate. It's I think it's in
District court.
Yeah, it's a district court, so I don't know where he was, so. But anyway, just if you could keep that, because I'm sure we're going to be looking at grants coming, from the federal government for our police department. And if we have some cover with this lawsuit, that would be good. Ms. Fritzen.
Mayor, I have a couple of election dates to report as a follow-up from the last meeting. The last day for registration for the June primary, which is June 5th, is on the 15th of May, and yes, God bless you. The Township Clerk's office is always open on a late night for voter registration, and will remain open until 9:00 p.m. that evening. Then I want to report that some of you may know that today the governor signed A2014, which automatically registers to vote and updates voter registration for eligible persons when applying for motor vehicle driver's licenses, examination permits, probationary driver's license, or non-driver ID cards. So the bill was expanded to allow any state agency that already collects documents that would provide proof of eligibility, including age, citizenship, and residence addresses, to register clients as well. And that takes effect on November 1st. So, and then my final item is just to report that since the last meeting, we did offer 3 AED CPR classes for our township employees. Extremely well received. The 3 were held at 106 Burnett. Extremely great facility to host a CPR and AED class. And it also gave a lot of our employees the opportunity to see the inside of that building. They had never been there before. So we probably have, I guess it's about 39 employees that took advantage of the classes. They will get cards. I have them, I just have not distributed them yet. And very well received by all of the departments. DPW had probably the largest group, followed by the library, and then all of our office staff participated as well. So it was great, and we're going to continue to offer more. That's my report.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Fritzen?
No, thank you.
Yes, usually but look,
Heart attacks
they've checked out. They want to go home now. They want to go home before 9 o'clock.
Mrs. Fritzen, she's serious today.
Okay. All right, reports from elected officials. Mr. Daffis.
I have a quick highlight of an upcoming program tomorrow evening that the Community Coalition on Race is doing. It's called Coffee House on Talking About Race Online. I'm sure all of us, or at least some of us, have experienced the vitriol online in conversations that we may have had with our fellow residents on issues regarding the racial divide and privilege and so on and so forth. This is a wonderful program that's happening tomorrow night at the Baird Community Center, beginning at 7:30 p.m. It's part of what the CCR does, part of their conversations on race and their coffee house discussions on race. It's a signature program, this time focused on online conversations. I really, really recommend it to folks. If you really have the opportunity to go tomorrow night at the Baird Center, I really think it would be a good idea. It's a safe space for candor, for honest discussion, and for an opportunity to grow together and get closer together when talking about something that's so difficult to talk about. So tomorrow night at the Baird, starting at 7:30 p.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Adams?
Yes, Mayor, just one, I wanted to give a little update for the residents on DPW, the tree status after all the storms we've had. And there was still a lot of debris out. They will be picking up any debris that residents still have from fallen branches or anything like that on their properties. They can leave out with the spring rakeout, which began April 9th, I believe, and runs till mid-May. So be sure you can just put any limbs or anything out with your regular rakeout stuff at the curb in containers, in either bags or barrels. And we did lose 30 town trees or more in the storms. But hopefully, we do have more aggressive purchasing of trees this year for DPW is going to be doing some of the planting instead of outsourcing that, so that'll allow our budget to purchase more trees than we've been doing over the last several years. So we can replenish all that we lost. All I have, Mayor.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. McGehee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two quick things. One, this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., there'll be a river cleanup here, the Rothway River as well in Memorial Park. And also this Friday from 5 to 9 p.m., we'll be having our open gym night. This is part of the Maplewood Mentors program. We have it every month where we invite our youth to come and play basketball and have pizza and socialize with the officers here in our town as well as our firefighters. So please spread the word and come out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And if you saw the river yesterday, it was just incredible. I sent some pictures around the golf course. It just ended up in the golf course. It was unbelievable how it was flowing.
Yeah.
Mr. Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Despite the weather, proof that spring is here is that this is the opening week for our local youth baseball and softball programs. My daughter's team plays her first game tomorrow, so hoping for good weather. And the annual baseball and softball parade will be held this year on Saturday, April 28th at New Waterlands Field in South Orange. I'm hoping to see yet another pitcher's duel between Mayor DeLuca and Village President Collum. The last couple have gone in Maplewood's favor, so hopefully we'll keep our winning streak on the first pitch contest going. And Mr. Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, I have just 7 quick items. This Saturday, 7.
Only?
This Saturday, we have talked to the Township Committee from 9 to 12 in Maplewood Village. We'll be at the corner of Baker and Maplewood Avenue. This Tuesday coming up, the 24th, a week from today at 8:30 in the morning, we will have doing business with the Township of Maplewood. We ask local business people, whether you have a store or you're working out of your home, to come and talk to us about how we might be able to do business. We like to look local first when we're spending our tax dollars to buy goods and services. And so this is an opportunity for you to come, meet with our department heads, find out what they buy over the course of the year, how you might get on their list as a vendor, and also how you can do work with the town, what are the requirements and things like that. So again, it's Tuesday, April 24th. We'll start at 8:30, generally run till about 10. Just want to let you all know that on Friday, April 27th, I will be on a panel at the New Jersey Conference of Mayors Convention in Atlantic City on legalization of marijuana. There'll be 4 of us talking about pro and 4 people talking against. So it should be, should be good. That's right. That's right. Wanted to brief you on the Suburban Essex Chamber of Commerce meeting that occurred on April 7th. We had the new commissioner from the Department of Transportation there, and we also had the new president of Public Service there. And when I was given an opportunity to ask questions, I asked the Commissioner of Transportation to get us a meeting with New Jersey Transit Director, which we were not able to get with the previous director. He just stonewalled us. I'm happy to report that I received a call from New Jersey Transit, and we have a meeting scheduled for May 2nd, so I will send it all to you. It's going to be in the morning, unfortunately, but we will try to get elected officials along the Morris and Essex line to go meet with the director of New Jersey Transit.
That's great.
I've also received a call from the president of PSE&G that they will set up a meeting with us. Our concern was not so much that there was a, loss of power. They really can't deal with that. It's just on the street level, we're not getting the communication. And for example, the police had closed Valley Street because of the downed trees and the wires. We kept it closed, but PSE&G had shut the power off. We never knew that, so we never sent anyone in to clean it and open it up. And we have to have better communication so that we can do that going forward. So that meeting will occur. Yesterday morning, we had a meeting to plan for this year's Mayfest. And if you remember last year, after the Mayfest, we had an incident at DeHart Park. I have to tell you, Chief Duval is on it. He is proposing some changes this year. We are not moving anybody from the road. The festival will end at 7, but the road's not going to open till 7. I'm sorry, the festival will end at 5, but the road's not going to open back up till 7. And if folks want to hang out on the street, they can hang out on the street. No one will be forced to move.
Right.
No one will be pushed off. I think he gave us some very good suggestions on how we can work with this, and I think it'll be good. One of the things we will do is reach out to Soma Justice, Soma Action, and CCR, get them on a phone call with representatives from Mayfest, the partnership and the chief of police, and explain what we're doing, because I know they had a big interest in this year's Mayfest, so we're going to be doing that.
That's great.
That's what date, Mayfest?
Mayfest is May 20th. And lastly, we had 2 days ago, we had a very successful Holocaust memorial service, very moving service over at Bethel. Interfaith, it was really good. As we see in the world even now with people being gassed and other situations where just the inhumanity of governments to people and people to people, we can never forget what happened in the past. And I think the Holocaust is not only to remember what happened in the past, but also speak out against what potentially could happen in the future. So,
See the recent statistics?
yes, yes.
They talked about that at the service, yeah.
So with that, we can end this meeting before 9 o'clock unless people want to hang out. Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn? Yeah. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.